Welcome to Teen Health Talks. I'm Hira Hussain, a mental health therapist with the Teen Health Center housed at Austin Middle School. And I'm here today with Mr. Neighbors, the principal of Austin Middle School. Thank you for coming to our virtual studio and giving us the opportunity to speak with you. Wow, gosh, it's been a challenging time for our community. And during such times, we often look to our strong leaders to show us how to cope and how to get through tough times. Because you are one of those strong leaders, I wanted to take this time to get your reactions, thoughts, and advice for our community. So first off, we know people may have a variety of reactions to the situation. What kind of reactions have you had?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's funny. Causeway Galveston just sent out some podcasts, and I was able to listen to a Brene Brown interviewing Mark Brackett, who just wrote the book Permission to Feel, and it was such a great interview. And one of the things he talked about was correctly identifying your feelings. And I thought, oh no, Hira's going to call me, and I'm going to have to correctly identify my feelings. Talk about putting this to use quickly. This is crazy. So I think just initially, I think like a lot of other people, just incredulous. Like, what is happening? Like, this is so odd, so strange. Are we really shutting everything down? Because things seemed normal. Not a lot of people that we knew personally were sick, and so it was kind of like this invisible threat. And so I just think that there was just kind of confusion at first, and just kind of wondering what was going on. And then I think my next reaction was probably just being overwhelmed. There were so many decisions that had to be made so quickly, especially in a school setting. How were the teachers going to suddenly provide instruction? How are we going to get kids technology? What about kids who don't have access to technology? And so there was probably a week there where we were working almost 12 hours a day trying to prepare for what we've been doing for the last 2 months. And just being so unprecedented, I know that's a word that's been used a lot. There just wasn't a lot of experience to fall back on. But one thing I think that it also, kind of the last feeling that it brought to me, was just a sense of being united. There were other school districts and other people going through the same thing, and not just in America, but across the world. And I have some friends. I have a friend in Panama. I have one in Italy who we FaceTimed with, and just seeing them stuck in their apartments and experiencing some of the same things. There were restrictions on who could go to the grocery stores on certain days, and there were certain times when they could be out in public. And so just sort of realizing that we were part of this global event, and that it was sort of uniting us all, on a global level. So being a traveler, that's something that I just kind of have encouraged people with over the last couple of months too, is just that this is something that, we're all in together, and it's very unique in that way.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your reactions, feelings, and thoughts. I really appreciate that. We know it's been a helpful use of a variety of strategies to cope. Many people cope in different ways. So would you mind telling us how you've kind of coped through this? What things have you done to care for yourself during this tough time?
Yeah, I think whenever there's uncertainty, a lot of us fall back on what's familiar. And so I know for me, exercise is one. That's something that I've always done, but have done more regularly now that we're staying at home. And I know that my family my daughters. I've got 2 daughters at home who were schooling from home, and so they were busy most of the day. And so we would try to go out in the evenings and have family walks and just try to be outside. The weather's been so amazing the last couple of months. We're very fortunate that it's been such a pleasant spring, and the mosquitoes haven't been too bad. So for South Texas, that's unique. And then also just trying to do some reading on my own. I read a lot of professional articles and professional publications. I don't often just read something to get my mind off of things. And so you can see in the background, this is a picture of Big Bend. That's where we were when the outbreak hit. We were spring break, and we had planned a trip to the Galapagos Islands in June, and that's now been moved to summer of 2021. So one of the things I've read is Charles Darwin's Voyage of the Beagle, where he circumnavigated the globe, and it's the story of when he first visited the Galapagos Islands. So just kind of trying to travel through someone else's eyes and read about his notes from his journeys. And so that's been good for me. And then doing some yard work and trying to stay outdoors, that's been positive as well.
Yeah, I've enjoyed your videos that you've done in your yard. So those have been really nice. What kinds of reactions have you noticed in others and or needs that you've noticed?
Yeah, so for one, I mean, again, I've got 3 women at home, so I see a lot of reactions, and everyone's sort of at a different stage in life. So my oldest daughter was in college, and I think her initial reaction moving back home was just really disappointment. She had been really enjoying college and really enjoying that first taste of freedom and just independence. And she had really been involved and had a great group of friends. And so now all of a sudden you're 19 years old and you're back, confined to your bedroom. You can't even go out, and so just seeing that sort of, that sense of loss that, wow, I'm missing out on something that I had looked forward to for so long. And so that's been, I think, a common reaction. I know even within the school system, our seniors, missing out on all these really fun, memorable sort of these activities that that normally commemorate the end of a 12-year journey. And parents feel that too. You sense the reactions of your kids, and you're very in tune to that. So I know a lot of families have struggled with that. I think another reaction that I've noticed too, initially, when this first started too, was just fear of scarcity. You saw people hoarding. You saw people afraid. A lot of people have lost jobs. There's just been this real sort of financial stress, and I think that's something that's going to continue even once we, continue to reopen. And then finally, I think that there's just been a frustration, a lack of patience.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that this has done is forced everyone to slow down, and that's not something that in our busy American society that we do very well. And when things seem to be slow, we seem to be frustrated because we think that things aren't moving.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like standing and waiting in line. We don't even like it when it's a drive-through and there's 3 cars in front of us. Like, what? This is crowded. I can't believe this. And so I think just being forced to slow down our pace has brought a sense of frustration for some people. And I don't think it's necessarily that they were frustrated that things were slow, but it was just we're at a new pace, and so things are not normal, and having to come to that acceptance has been difficult.
So I heard a few reactions that you've noticed. Definitely some loss at different age levels and different, within different population groups, whether that's within the school community, personal, professional. I also heard some. You said the lack of patience. Just a few minutes ago, we talked about united as, but I think as united as we all are feeling that frustration, that lack of patience. And this is definitely a change for everyone. So slowing us down is something else that you said. So I think this really emphasizes the need for us to connect and seek support from others during these tough times. Which brings me to my last question. What advice would you give to students and family during this tough time?
Well, sort of being in education, I mean, we're kind of like a learning organization. I mean, that's what we do for a living. So I know, especially for students, I would just really encourage them. It's one of our mission statements is to grow,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to continue to embrace the love of learning and be willing to adapt. And if you can't adapt, you're not going to flourish. And that's not true of just COVID, but I mean, of everything. If people have been alive for the last 50 or 60 years, just look at all the changes that they've undergone. And, you watch old movies and you see people hugging as they get off the plane, and you're like, well, you can't really do that anymore. There's security measures since 9/11. Things have changed. And you look at the hurricanes that we've been through and how disaster preparation has changed. And then you just look at the change in technology and computers, and just things continue to progress, and you've got to be willing to continue to enjoy that and embrace that. And if you don't, I think you just continue to long for the good old days, and you never enjoy the positives of the here and the now. And so I think that initially this has really been a tough scenario for a lot of people, but I think moving forward there will be some good that comes out of it, and there will be some changes that will be forever lasting. And so I think that those of us who embrace that and grow are probably going to be best adapted to experience that positively ourselves. I think the last thing I would just say is, and it's another part of our mission statement, is we say impact. And I think that meeting the needs of others brings us joy and satisfaction, and stretches our empathy. And I think that starts with self-care. If we drain our personal reserves, then we have less capacity to care for others. But I think that reaching beyond ourselves and looking to the needs of others and being able to help other people really does just imbue us with a sense of joy. And I know there's been a few people that I've been able to reach out and help during the last couple of months, and those have been some of my best memories of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing that. It was wonderful advice and excellent coping that you shared with all of us to kind of learn from and grow from, as you said. Thank you for being here with us today, Mr. Neighbors. I really appreciate your time and for sharing your wonderful thoughts, feelings, and just how you've kind of reacted and coped through this pandemic. We really appreciate your leadership and all that you've done for our school community. We hope that everybody, including yourself, will keep joining us on Teen Health Talks, and we cannot wait to see you guys until next time. You guys take care, be safe, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you, and we love Teen Health. Y'all are great.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Neighbors.